Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Alexandra, and today I am going to show you the easiest way to achieve Pinterest-worthy shelves in your home. So this video is all about shelf styling. Before we get started, make sure you are subscribed to my channel. There are a ton of you that keep coming back to watch videos every week, but haven't pushed that subscribe button. So before you continue watching this video, push pause, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any upcoming videos from me. I'm sure I can't be the only one that scrolls through Pinterest all the time and is bombarded by cute images of shelves. And you're like, how does this person achieve this perfectly styled shelf? It's actually pretty simple. So I am going to show you how I style my living room shelves, my kitchen shelves, and my bookshelf, hopefully giving you guys tips for you to do the same. It's really easy. You don't have to go out and buy anything. I'm sure most of you have the things that I'll be using to style these shelves. And then we can all have beautiful hashtag shelfies. So let's begin with the shelf in my living room. Now, I actually have photo shelves in my living room. I just find them a really great way to display coffee table books and artwork, but if you're working with a regular shelf, all of these rules also apply. So the key to styling a living room shelf is obviously to show off your artwork, maybe some beautiful coffee table books, candles, anything that's just going to add to the decor of the space. These aren't really functional shelves most of the time. They're just shelves to display beautiful items. So the things you'll need to style your living room shelf are a couple books. These can be coffee table books, they can be maybe magazines. You also want a drapey object or a plant. In my case, I'm using a string of beads. You also need some artwork in varying sizes. Height is really important. So you want a tall piece of art, a smaller piece of art. You can have art unframed or in frames, whatever you prefer. And then you're gonna need some tiny objects. This could be a succulent or maybe a candle, a vase, any kind of trinket you have lying around is perfect. So something you're gonna hear me say a lot in this video whenever it comes to styling your shelves is you want layers. This creates depth, it creates visual interest, and it's way more interesting to look at a shelf that's full rather than just like a shelf with things in a line. The first thing you wanna do for your living room shelf is get all of your artwork up. I like to spread it out throughout the shelf, which I'm doing here. And again, a good rule of thumb, I would say, is using like at least 3 pieces of art or magazines or books in varying heights. A good tip is to start with the largest frames and work your way down to the smaller frames. The next step is to fill all of those gaps with all of your trinkets. So I have a candle, a small clipping of a monstera plant, and I am just layering those in front of my artwork and books. And then the last step is to add something drapey, whether this is a plant or a string of beads like I have. You want it just to kind of drape off the shelf. So this is gonna sit in front of a book or in front of an art piece. So you'll see the shelf slowly come together. And what I really like to do is step back, take a look at it, move things around, reposition. It's all about playing around with it. You might think, whoa, this looks way too full, so take something away, or maybe it's looking too empty, add things in. But the key is to have varying heights, different objects, definitely 1 or 2 plants, and a drapey object, and suddenly you have a gorgeous Pinterest-worthy shelf. Another tip I have if you have a longer living room shelf is to group things into clusters. So I'm gonna pop a photo up right here of a beautifully styled shelf that I found on Pinterest, and you'll see that there is lots of space. So this person has added all of the elements we've just talked about, but they've spaced them out, so they've let them breathe a little bit. And that's really important, especially if you're working with a bookshelf or a larger shelf, is to give things space, but also not lose the amount of things you're adding to the shelf. So a good way to accomplish that is to group things together. Usually the magic number is grouping things in 3. And the beauty about shelves that I find in a living room is that you can change them up whenever you want. It's super easy to do. You can move things around and yeah, just like have fun with it. So now let's move on to kitchen shelves. These are so fun because there's so many different ways you can style a shelf in your kitchen. And if you are someone who has open shelving, I am very jealous because that is a dream. I know that there's varying opinions on open shelving because some people feel the pressure to keep it neat and tidy all the time. Some people love it because they're like me and love styling shelves. Before we get into the actual styling, I wanted to pop up an image that I found on Pinterest that we're gonna try and recreate. The thing I love about this photograph and the way that they've styled the shelves are that you kind of have everything you need in a kitchen. There's glassware, there's a plant, there's a stack of plates, there's a cutting board. But the key here is to still maintain function while also making it look really beautiful. So the key to open shelving is obviously pulling out all of the beautiful things that you have that are stored away in your cupboards and putting them on display. So cute bowls, cute plates, maybe cute glassware. And these are kind of gonna be your hero pieces. These are the things that you want people to see when they walk into your kitchen. You also wanna start pulling beautiful things that you have like cutting boards, cookbooks, plants, anything that you want to add to decorate the shelves, but that you also use on an everyday basis. And I'm gonna say it again, but layering items is crucial, so pull more kind of decor than you think you'll need for these shelves. You also wanna grab some artwork as well because we're gonna be layering that in. So this is the one item you're gonna need that's not functional, but that I would say is like pretty crucial when you are decorating a kitchen shelf. So once you've gathered all of your styling essentials, the next step is starting to lay things out. Now, repetition is really key on a kitchen shelf because you're either gonna stack lots of cookbooks or lots of plates or glassware. In my case, I am creating repetition with dried goods. So I've just put these in simple glass IKEA jars. I love all the colors of these dried goods, and I'm just lining them up on the bottom shelf. You could totally just leave your shelf like this, really simple. You could group some of the jars together, give it a little breathing room, add a cute plant. There's so many ways that you can play around with glass jars. The key is keeping the height of the jars the same and filling them with really colorful dried goods. So on the top shelf of my kitchen, this is where I'm gonna start to add in a lot of those layers. I already have this gorgeous drapey plant. It's just kind of taken over this whole wall. I love it. I would say if you can get your hands on a drapey plant and add this to your kitchen shelf, you are on the way to becoming a Pinterest shelfie guru. On this shelf, I am playing around with height as well. So I'm putting a really large print at the end. This has peaches on it. It was in my bathroom, but I thought I'd move it in here. It seems very fitting for this space. I'm adding some really cute glassware, again, adding to that repetition. I'm adding a couple more jars. One is really tall for pasta. So one last tip I have for styling your shelf is of course stacking beautiful cookbooks. And the key, just like on a bookshelf, is to stack them upwards and then place a trinket on top. Another thing that I think could be really fun if you have a shelf like I do, adding tiny cup hooks to the bottom of the shelf and hanging your favorite mugs from it. Again, just adding in an extra layer, showing off those beautiful mugs. I feel like mugs should not be hidden away in a cupboard if they're beautiful. And there you guys have it, a beautiful kitchen shelf. It all looks beautiful and decorative, but these are things that I use on a daily basis. Now it's time to take all of the tips we've learned from these two shelves and we're gonna move on to the bookshelf. I feel like this is a common shelf that people struggle with, but I promise you, if you have got the living room and the kitchen shelves down, the bookshelf is going to be a breeze. So I'm gonna pop up a couple of images and we're gonna try and recreate them. The first one is a rainbow bookshelf. Big surprise because I have already color-coded my books, and this is my first tip. It's group your books by color, especially if you're working with a larger shelf. There's varying opinions. I think when it comes to books, they're very personal. People have a preference of how they're organized, and everyone has different priorities. Maybe your priority is grouping things by subject. My priority is obviously decor, and I'm assuming that a lot of you watching, that's also your priority. So feel free to organize your books however you like, but this is the way to a Pinterest-worthy decorated bookshelf. So if organizing your books by color wasn't controversial enough, the next thing I'm gonna say is just probably gonna make people so angry, but I've seen a lot of decorators do this. I'm not sure it would be something I would necessarily do in this apartment, but I really think that if you have a shelf where this could work, or you have a style of home that's very minimal, doing what I'm going to suggest could work for you. So recently I've seen a lot of decorators go out and buy books from the dollar store or buy books secondhand, take the covers off, and then flip the spines around so that they're at the back of the shelf, which means that you just see the color of the pages. So your bookshelf looks like this. Now, obviously this is not practical in the slightest, but an Instagrammer I have been following called Arrows and Bows, I will link her Instagram down below. She's doing this in her bookshelf in her living room, and it makes so much sense because the purpose of the shelf is really to be decorative. So if you are someone who maybe doesn't have a lot of books or wants to get some secondhand, this could be a really fun way to style your shelf. It's very minimal, especially if you love like a white and black palette in your home. I feel like this could be perfect. So what I love to do after I have styled my books by color, I love to play around with the positioning of them. So some I will stack vertically, others I will stack horizontally. I like to use a stack of horizontal books, kind of like a bookend, and then I always place a cute trinket on top. So right away you're getting those layers, there's lots of colors, a cute trinket, and that's really the key. You just want to keep repeating that per shelf. One thing I will say is don't be afraid of space when it comes to styling your bookshelf. Give your books some breathing room. You can have shelves that are totally empty. Maybe there's just a bowl on one of them or a plant. And then again, using that tip of layering that I mentioned in the kitchen and the living room shelves. So placing art prints behind and then stacking books in front of that. It just creates dimension and depth. And when you walk into your space, it looks really visually interesting. So there you guys have it, my tips to styling a Pinterest-worthy shelf. If you have any more questions or like a decor dilemma when it comes to your shelf, leave them in the comments down below. I will try my best to answer them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on Saturday. Bye.
Let's shelf it up.
Let's shelf it up. Oh my God, cute. Oh my God, cute.